The legacy metagame has solidified, and today we're playing a build of the Epic Storm that looks to attack it. Let's go check it out. To address the elephant in the room, I lost my voice a few days ago, so I sound a little bit different, but I'm feeling a lot better, and I'm feeling well enough to record for you today. Today's deck list is a donation deck from Matthew Story, who wanted to see the latest build that I've been working on. Thank you, Matthew, for your support. So the build in front of you is looking to attack the current legacy metagame. When we look at MTG Goldfish, the most popular deck by a wide margin is Dimir Tempo. After that, it's Oops All Spells, and this list is looking to beat both of them. So we are no longer playing the main deck copy of Defense Grid, which is a pretty good card in the deck, and it's really good when you resolve it versus Dimir Tempo. But it's a when you resolve it. Being 2 mana versus the Daze Wasteland Thoughtseize deck is difficult to do, and then post-board they have Consigned to Memory. So I like Defense Grid. It's not that I dislike the card, it's just right now, I think maybe a cheaper alternative in Thoughtseize could be better. And I understand that Thoughtseize doesn't play as well with Echo of Aeons. I really do get that. But what it does play well with is Beseech the Mirror. So when you have Thoughtseize in your deck, you're looking to Beseech the Mirror more often. And I think that's okay. That Dimir Tempo deck is a 4 of Orcish Bowmaster's deck. And with that, Echo of Aeons obviously isn't as good there. So if you're leaning a little bit more on Beseech the Mirror, I think that's okay. A lot of those decks recently have also been playing Dauthi Voidwalker in the main or the sideboard, and if your opponents are leaning on that, Echo of Aeons gets worse there too. So having 3 copies of Thoughtseize in the main to force through a Beseech the Mirror into Song of Creation, I think makes a lot of sense. So I like that change. Additionally, Thoughtseize is very good versus Oops All Spells. You don't always know that you're facing somebody on Oops All Spells, so a turn 1 Thoughtseize could buy you that second turn you need to close out the game. And I like Thoughtseize for that reason. So what came at the cost? Because we were playing 2 Defense Grid, we're playing 3 Thoughtseize. We had to remove the 4th copy of Mox Opal. It's not a card I wanted to cut, but I think it's the card that made the most sense. Every time I go below 12 lands, I feel like I become too bad against Wasteland, and versus a deck like Dimir Tempo, they're going to wasteland you. So I think you want the 12th land over the 4th copy of Mox Opal. That's my own personal preference. If you disagree, swap them. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And then in the sideboard, Carpet of Flowers is amazing versus Dimir Tempo. So that's a card that I'm thrilled to see in the deck list today because they look to discard you, daze you, wasteland you, and you need to win off fewer resources, and Carpet of Flowers acts as another dark ritual into that Beseech the Mirror. So we like that. It's also very good with Runehorn Hellkite, having permanent mana sources in play that make a bunch of mana, and that's a nice addition to the deck. So currently the game plan is to bring in 3 copies of Carpet of Flowers and 2 copies of Beseech Who Endures, and then we'll board out 3 Mox Opal, a Chrome Mox, and 1 Gamble. Once again, de-emphasizing Echo of Aeons and then emphasizing Beseech the Mirror in those matchups. So that's sort of the thought philosophy today. And why would I move away from version 18.0? I just posted a video 2 weeks ago where I went back to back. I played that deck list to 95 matches, sporting over 70 win percentage. The deck list is very good. I don't dislike it, but I also played enough matches where I felt like I wasn't learning anything, so I started trying out other lists. And some of the feedback I was receiving was that Echo of Aeons could use more help. And today's list is actually going in the opposite direction. We're de-emphasizing Echo. But in order to emphasize it, I was testing Simian Spirit Guide. I actually went 5-0 with a list with 4 Simian Spirit Guide in it. If you go to MTG Goldfish, you can find that list there. But ultimately, I found that deck to be extremely high variance. There was no copies of Brainstorm in the deck. Instead, I was playing 2 Faithless Looting. And it really felt like you were gambling. Where today, I'm playing a more consistent deck that's probably going to beat Dimir Tempo even more often, and then you're still very good versus Oops All Spells with the Thoughtseize. So if I was playing in an event tomorrow, would I play this or 18.0? I'm not sure, but I think both lists are very good. And I don't think you could go wrong either way. And I'm looking forward to trying this out today. Let me know what you think of the changes in the comment section down below. Thank you to Matthew Story once again for the donation deck. I truly appreciate your support. And I'll see all of you in match number 1. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Alright, time for match number 1. We're on the play. They have like 20 results with Loam, and they have one recent result with the Affinity and or 8-cast deck. We have a turn 1 Echo of Aeons here, which could be protected, but we don't have another mana source. I think I'm willing to keep this and then just play out Petal, play out Lion's Eye Diamond, and pass the turn and figure out what they're doing. If we have to play a Veil of Summer, hopefully we draw another mana source, but I think that's okay. Alright, so they're on the Pox deck. They play a turn 1 Nile Spellbomb. Another Diamond. I am rewarded for waiting here. We'll play the gamble. We'll select Echo of Aeons. We'll make 3 blue, 3 black, and let's draw a new hand. Storm 3, 3 mana floating. Okay, that wasn't terrible. So you do have an interesting line here, which is you could fetch with the Surveil trigger on the stack, Brainstorm, or you can just Brainstorm first. Brainstorm first gives you the chance of hitting Beseech the Mirror into a win. You also don't need to spin Echo of Aeons with no mana floating. I think I'm going to Brainstorm first. I'm aware that I could do it the other way. Alright, well that was good. We'll put back the 2 cards we don't need. Play out the Verdant Catacombs. Play the Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll float a red off Mox Opal. We'll play another. And now we'll make blue. Dark Ritual. And we'll make more mana with the Lion's Eye Diamond. So now this is Storm 10 and a lot of available mana. Okay, so we'll try a gamble for Beseech the Mirror. You could grab Tendrils of Agony, but what if you fail? Where grabbing Beseech the Mirror, you get multiple chances, and I just failed. So now we get another chance to win here. I'll grab the Taiga, and I probably should have brainstormed before the first gamble. That's on me. We get Runehorn Hellkite. I'll put back 2 Veil of Summer, and then we'll gamble again. Grab another copy of Beseech the Mirror. We win that one. Dark Ritual. Beseech the Mirror with Bargain. Sacrifice the Mox Opal. And our opponent concedes. Nice. We're interested in Boomerang Basics. We also want Beseiju Who Endures. I don't love Runehorn Hellkite. Excuse me. That's a card that can probably be pushed to the sideboard. And then in discard matchups, I don't love having Thoughtseize. Like, I just don't think it's the game plan you should be on. So I'll board out 1 Veil of Summer, and then we'll keep in 3. And then we have Boomerang Basics and Beseiju Who Endures for their hate permanents, and we'll try this. What a hand, what a hand. We will keep. Our opponent begins with a Leyline of the Void. Mox Diamond, discard Swamp. Versus Saga. They also had a good hand. Okay. So if I were them, I would probably take Diamond or Boomerang Basics. We'll see what they do. If they leave me with the Diamond, I could Burning Wish into empty the Warrens, but I don't know if they're thinking about that. They might just try to take the Boomerang Basics to keep their Leyline on. And they did take the Boomerang Basics, so we're about to have a Goblin party. We'll play Taiga, play the Lotus Petal. You do need to play around Force of Vigor, so you don't want to play your diamonds first. And now we'll play Opal, and now you'll play the Lion's Eye Diamond. Hold Control, and then play your Burning Wish. We'll make 3 black. Storm is 5. Let's empty D's Warrens. 12 Goblins. And our opponent has conceded the game. Leyline plus Thoughtseize was not good enough to stop the Epic Storm, and we are now 1-0 in this Legacy League. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Match number 2 on the play. Our opponent has a long history of playing Cradle control, so I'm going to assume that's what they're on today. Here we have a hand where it's a turn 2 Echo, or a turn 1 Echo even, but I feel like you would prefer to try to set it up so that way you can get a little bit more out of it. So I think what I'd like to do here is turn 1 Scalding Tarn, pass, and then we can Surveil on their end step, and if they Thoughtseize me, we have Veil of Summer. They play Lair of the Hydra and Birds of Paradise. So the question is, do you grab the Undercity Sewers so that way you can Brainstorm and then hit a red source to play the gamble, or do you just take the guaranteed red source? I think I'd take the guaranteed red source here because I'd like to make my land drop post-Echo and still do something meaningful. Alright, so we'll grab the Commercial District. Hopefully we find like a Lion's Eye Diamond or something here. A Lotus Petal, Chrome Mox, just mana. Trigger, and I'll gladly take a Lotus Petal. We'll play the Lotus Petal, play the Diamond, and now we'll gamble for Echo of Aeons. We discard the other gamble, and now we'll spin. We have Storm 3, we still have a land drop, and we have an open mana source here. Storm 4, my apologies. They use Endurance to remove a Dryad Arbor, sure. Okay. So, Diamond is Storm 6, Chrome Mox is Storm 7, Land, Burning Wish is Storm 8, Tendrils of Agony is Storm 9 from the sideboard. So we can imprint the Brainstorm here. You don't have to worry about Force of Vigor in game 1, so I am not worried about this here. I technically could have sequenced the Diamond after the fetch land, and that would be the right way to do it. It just doesn't really matter all that much in game 1. Wait, did I miscount? Burning Wish is 8. Tendrils is 9, so I guess I missed a storm count somewhere. Yeah, I must have. And because Tendrils is in our hand, I can't Beseech the Mirror in the middle. If Tendrils was in our deck, we could get lethal here. So Burning Wish, Tendrils of Agony is only 9. So I need to Echo again. That's a bummer. We'll make 3 black, and then we'll tap the Chrome Mox, and we'll Echo the Aeons floating a black. We were just short of lethal there. Okay, so you could continue to try to win with no mana floating, or you could Thoughtseize into a Hellkite next turn when you have more mana, which is probably what I'm going to do here. We actually have the Collector Oof, we'll discard that. Pass. Just 1 storm short. They play the Quirion Ranger, Basic Forest, White of the Reliquary, and now they untap the Birds of Paradise, and they play the other. Sure. End step, I will cycle the Veil of Summer because they play White of the Reliquary, which is a black card. We draw another Thoughtseize. Burning Wish. So I believe that's just a deterministic win. Let's begin by Thoughtseizing them to make sure that they didn't draw an Endurance. They did not. Okay, and I will play Burning Wish, holding priority. We'll sacrifice the Lion's Eye Diamond. I suppose I'll fetch now. It doesn't really matter. We'll grab Underground Sea. We'll grab Beseech the Mirror. Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing Mox Opal. We'll grab another. Sacrifice the Chrome Mox. And now I can grab Gaia's Will. We'll float a black. Storm is 5. Gaia's Will resolves. We'll play Lotus Petal. And our opponent concedes. We win game number 1 with Beseech the Mirror. So this is sort of what I was talking about in the deck tech, where when you have access to more copies of Thoughtseize, you get to Beseech the Mirror win more often. So that is a nice benefit. We'll bring in Boomerang Basics, take out Veil of Summers. Like, I just don't think holding open Veil of Summer is what you want to be doing in this matchup. We'll bring in Empty the Warrens, get rid of the Runehorn Hellkite, and I think I will submit the deck list with a single Veil of Summer in it. It could be like an Orcish Bowmasters or something, and having one isn't terrible is a theoretical out to gamble for. Game number 2 on the draw, our opponent's mulliganed. We've opened up a pretty unplayable hand here. We'll send it back. Much better. This is actually Thoughtseize proof. And if they don't Thoughtseize you, you have a turn 1 Echo. We'll bottom Beseech the Mirror. I mean, you have a turn 1 Echo regardless, but you would have it with double Lion's Eye Diamond. They play Windswept Heath. They search out Bayou. Birds of Paradise, okay. Chrome Mox was the draw. Alright, so I think I'm going to imprint the Burning Wish here. I just want all of the mana possible. We'll play a Diamond. So there is a sequence that could beat me here if the opponent had a insane draw, which would be if they Force a Vigor here, I would need to float mana off of both of these. And then if they also had an endurance, they could get me. But that would be a perfect hand when they only have 4 cards. It would have to be green card, endurance, force of vigor, which is unlikely. Okay. I think we start with the brainstorm. Empty the Warrens. Don't mind if I do. We'll put back Veil of Summer and Chromox. We'll fetch with the Bloodstained Mire. Grab Underground Sea. Dark Ritual. Play a Lotus Petal. And then we'll Boomerang Basics on the bird. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. And now we'll empty the Warrens for 22 Goblins. But we're not done here. We will also Echo of Aeons and try to Tendrils of Agony them. But we might as well put 22 power onto the board as well. Alright, so 22 power. We'll make 3 blue. And our opponent conceded to Echo of Aeons being discarded. Nice. So we are now 2-0 in this Legacy League. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package. But that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Alright, time for the third match. On the draw, I will keep. So I have faced this person a couple times recently. They play either Omni-Tel decks or Doomsday. So we have a hand that could be a protected Echo of Aeons, but it looks like they're on Omni-Tel today. But we might have to just draw discard on turn 1, or if we draw like Gamble or Diamond, that could change things. I'm going to choose to just discard the hand size here, and then we'll discard the Echo of Aeons that way. They play a Brainstorm, discard the Echo. They have Ancient Tomb. That's not good for me. They play Lotus Petal. 5 cards left. The One Ring. Okay. Turn 2, the ring is very powerful. We drew Gamble. So I could try to force a win here through the One Ring. I would need to Echo and then draw into a line that allows me to Song of Creation. Alternatively, I could pass, but then I risk death because they're going to see 3 more cards on their turn between their draw step and then 2 cards off the One Ring. So it's a tough spot to be in. I'll play Lotus Petal, play the Mox Opal, we'll play Chrome Mox. This trigger on the stack, I'm going to Veil of Summer. They force a will, exiling Sink into Stupor. They have 3 cards in hand, so I think I'm going to just imprint the Gamble and pass. So they will draw up to 6, but I feel like they're less likely to kill me. They play a land, so they could tap the ring and draw 2. They grab a Hedge Maze, so they're surveilling first to improve their odds of hitting. They get rid of an island, and now they draw 2 up to 5 cards. Did you draw it? Looks like they did. We're probably dead. Not good. Okay. And now the Intuition targeting me, and we're dead. Alright, so we can just go to the next one. Tough spot. Like, I could have tried to Echo there, but I just didn't think I was going to die. They managed to hit off the One Ring, and, you know, sometimes that happens. I do like boarding in Beseech Who Endures. Sometimes they have Grafdigger's Cage, but it also hits Omniscience. I don't think this is a great Runehorn Hellkite deck, so I'm going to board that out, and then maybe 1 Mox Opal. And we'll submit. Game 2 on the play. I don't know about this. I guess we'll keep. This is a little bit of a sketchy one. So my thought process here is you don't have to worry about discarding Show and Tell or Omniscience with these Thoughtseizes because you have the Beseiju. So you're really just looking for your draw steps to hit action and then maybe converting that way. We'll play Badlands and then Thoughtseize. That's a good hand. So we'll just take the Veil of Summer and pass. They play the Tropical Island. They have Flusterstorm available in this spot. We drew Echo, not a terrible draw. I think we keep the Burning Wish, and we'll pass. They drew a Flooded Strand. They did not play the Ancient Tomb. We will Thoughtseize them. It looks like they might Flusterstorm here, and if so, I can just pay the 2. Yeah, they've realized that I can just pay the 2. So they drew a Stock Up. That's not great for me. We'll take the Flusterstorm and Burning Wish. I'm going to go grab the sideboard copy of Thoughtseize. They force a negation pitching Omniscience. I think that was best case scenario. Okay. Yeah, that was great. Love that. So they're going to search out the hedge maze here. They kept a card on top. They played the Ancient Tomb, and now they can play stock up. I no longer know any cards in their hand. Alright, so they're back up to 3 cards. We'll take our draw. Lotus Petal does not really help here. I will pass. Another stock up, wow. Okay. They're back up to 5 cards in their hand already. I think I just have to pass. My draws have not been spectacular. I would not mind a Brainstorm in this spot. 4 mana, this looks like a 1 ring, and it is. I feel like I've been buried. So I could try to front half the Echo, which is hard cast it, and then flash back after they counter it. But I'd still have to beat, you know, the 1 ring protection, assuming that even if one of my Echoes resolved, we'll play a Diamond, Mox Opal, play the Chrome Mox. I will cast Echo of Eons. And that just resolved. Wow. I was not expecting that. I think I have to pass here. I mean, I could flash back the Echo, but I lose to a force. And if they don't kill me, I'm in a great spot. So I'm going to hope to not be dead. Please do not kill me. They draw 2 cards off the 1 ring. And now a Brainstorm. That's a lot of cards for me to not be dead. But anything's possible. We'll see. They play Flooded Strand. 9 cards in their hand. Another Brainstorm, so you're saying there's a chance. Pass the turn. You can do it. They play a Lotus Petal. Another Lotus Petal. I don't like this. I think I'm dead. Stock up. Okay. They have 8 cards in their hand. And they have to go to cleanup, so they'll discard 1 card here, which was a Brainstorm. We draw the 4th Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll begin with a Brainstorm to see if I can find Veil of Summer. No is the answer. That was kind of stinky. I will attempt a Thoughtseize. I have to imagine this is going to be hit by Veil of Summer. And it is. We will fetch. Grab the last. I guess I have a Commercial District, but we'll grab Underground Sea. Play Dark Ritual. And then I will Beseech the Mirror, bargaining away the empty Chrome Mox. They force a will, exiling Cunning Wish. I'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. So I purposely sequenced to lose Metalcraft, hoping that they would counter a Lion's Eye Diamond in this spot. They did not. Okay. I will play a Gamble. This would have been a very good spot for Runehorn Hellkite, but I sided it out. You normally don't have 13 mana on the board. Alright, so we'll add blue, black, red. Flashback 1 copy of Echo of Aeons. They force a will, exiling Omniscience. We'll make 3 more blue. Let's flashback Echo. Storm 13. That one resolved. Okay. So, our opponent did play Veil of Summer, so I can not Tendrils them here. We'll play Brainstorm. That could have been better. We'll get rid of the lands and gamble. So that resolves. So I don't actually have red mana here to Veil of Summer plus gamble. I'll select Beseech the Mirror. We discard Diamond. That hurts. I will Beseech the Mirror, bargain away the Mox Opal. They have another Force of Will. Pass the turn. So I could have gone Chrome Mox, Imprint Tendrils, Dark Ritual before the Beseech, and then that would have allowed me to Echo again. But then if the Beseech actually resolves, you don't have anything to trigger Song of Creation. So it's tough to say. I guess you'd have like 1 gamble. You'd have 1 gamble to trigger Song. Hopefully they just can't kill me and they die to their own copy of the One Ring. They're thinking a long time about this with 9 cards in hand. They play Stock Up. They have since played another Lotus Petal. 8 cards in hand. Another copy of the One Ring. 8 cards in their hand. They get rid of an Ancient Tomb. I'll play a Gamble. I wonder if I'm actually supposed to just grab the Beseiju Indoors, so that way they can't kill me. But maybe that's just wishful thinking. We're at 4. I'm going to grab the Beseiju. I just got a Chrome Mox. I will pass. They go to 3 life. They draw 2 cards from the One Ring. They exiled 2 copies of Omniscience, so maybe they're just struggling to find one of the remaining 2. They Intuition targeting me. I don't have Veil of Summer, so I can't counter it. But if you did have a Veil of Summer, you could counter the Intuition that way. They grab 3 copies of Show and Tell. Okay. And they play the Show and Tell. I have no response. So they did find the Omniscience. I think we're supposed to try to respond to stock up. If they have Cunning Wish, we're dead, I believe. We're going to attempt to kill the Omniscience here. I mean, I'm going to F6. I can't do anything else this turn. So Brainstorm has finished resolving. Beseech is back on the stack. It looks like my Beseech is going to resolve. Nice. And now stock up. I believe they're all out of show and tells. Yeah, there's one in exile, 3 in the graveyard. Are we actually going to pull a rabbit out of a hat here? They discard a Flooded Strand. We draw a Song of Creation. So I could go Chromox Tendrils, but if I do that, and then they Flusterstorm and I Dark Ritual and they Force of Negation, I lose. So I don't think I'd like to do that. But with 3 open mana, I think this makes more sense. And they don't have Veil of Summer open. So it's going to be tough for them to win this. Not impossible, but difficult. And Tendrils of Agony, Storm 3. And they concede. So we somehow managed to win game number 2, but now we need to win game 3 on the draw. I'm wondering if I should have the Runehorn Hellkites in the deck. Well, Hellkite, there's a single copy. But if that is the game plan, what are you boarding out? You could board out a fetch land. I think that might be okay. Because we brought in 2 copies of Beseech. We'll try this. Game 3, our opponents kept 7, so will we. They play an island. Lotus Petal. Thoughtseize. I'm probably supposed to just play this on turn 1. I was hoping to Surveil, so that way I could get my green source into play untapped, but Thoughtseize could slow them down, and that is also very good for us. They have Flusterstorm. Okay. I need them to not have a fast win. They have 5 cards in hand after their draw step. They Brainstorm. City of Traders, 4 cards left. No show and tell here. We find Gamble. I'm going to Brainstorm. Surveil away a card I'm less interested in, which might be a Dark Ritual here. We'll put Burning Wish on the bottom, and then I'll play the Commercial District, get rid of Dark Ritual, and then we'll pass. So Gamble's interesting because it could go get me the Beseech Who Endures, but I don't have red plus green at the moment, and I won't next turn either. 3 mana, and they have the show and tell. Probably just dead. We'll put in Song of Creation. I have to hope their hand is just like counter magic. So they played the Ring. They have 2 cards. I believe the Ring sees a new card this turn. They have Enter the Infinite in their hand. Oh, wow. I just wasn't fast enough. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. Okay. Yeah, you got it. All right, so we lose match number 3. That happens sometimes. And we are now 2-1. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. Round number 4, we are on the play. I actually faced this person yesterday, and they were on Dimir tempo. So maybe we'll get to use these Carpet of Flowers in our sideboard. Unfortunately, this is not a keep. Well, this is a turn 1 Echo of Aeons. The downside is we are facing a Force of Will deck. We'll bottom the Chrome Mox. I'm going to purposely try to get them to Force of Will the Diamond here. So I'm going to play Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, and then Diamond. And hopefully they go after the Lion's Eye Diamond. They did not. We'll play Scalding Tarn. And let's just attempt to spin off 1 Lion's Eye Diamond. Storm is 5. Okay, they decide to Force of Will. They exile a Brazen Borrower, and I'll pass. So we traded 2 for 2, but I have no hand, and they have 4 cards in hand. I'll Surveil on the end step. Grab Undercity Sewers. Would you look at that? A Gamble. So we'll draw the Gamble, and we'll attempt to spin again. Gamble. We'll grab Echo of Aeons, and let's put it on the stack. Storm 2. Another Force of Will. Okay, so they open up double Force of Will on their mulligan. We draw Dark Ritual. We will pass. We are not out of this game yet. I could draw Beseech the Mirror and be right back in this. Thoughtseize. Let's play it. They're going to Daze. I'm going to allow that to be countered, and we'll pass. They replay the island. So that would be Metalcraft. So I could beat a Daze now if I were to draw Beseech the Mirror. And it looks like they're just stuck on the 1 island. I will pass. They have found land number 2. Veil of Summer. Alright, I'm going to play out the Chrome Mox then, so that way I could use the Mox Opal. Pass the turn. We're in a Beseech the Mirror waiting room. It looks like they're going to play an Orcish Bowmasters on my end step. Surprise, surprise. Wasteland. A little annoying here, but not the end of the world. Another Bowmasters. And I'll take 3. I go to 14. Alright, so the Bloodstained Mire gives us another Surveil land on their end step. Also allows us to beat Force plus Daze if we do find the Beseech the Mirror. My concern at the moment is that we're running out of time. I'm at 10, I'm about to fetch down to 9. They have 4 power on board. That's another Goyf. That's 6 power on board. We'll grab a commercial district. Get rid of the Badlands. Tendrils of Agony. I mean, it could keep me alive for another couple turns, but not really the draw I wanted. Wrong 4-mana black card. They play a Brainstorm. So they have 6 power on the board. If they play a Thoughtseize, their Nethergoyf will grow a power. And then I can't Veil of Summer it, because then their Bowmasters triggers twice. And the Orc army would become a 4-power creature. So I'm actually dead here to Thoughtseize. They destroy my commercial district. Yeah, I'm at 3. Burning Wish, you're just too late. So there is a possibility of a win here, but I'd have to be very lucky. Which is, I go Chrome Mox and Print Tendrils, Dark Ritual, Burning Wish, and then they respond. And then I Veil of Summer into Dark Ritual. I mean, it's got to be that. We'll imprint the Tendrils, Dark Ritual. Or if they want to try to go after the Dark Ritual and then I draw Beseech, that would have worked too. Burning Wish. They found a 3rd Force of Will. Alright, Doc, I need either Dark Ritual or Lion's Eye Diamond here, preferably Dark Ritual. Beseech the Mirror doesn't do it. Unfortunately, there is no Sorcery Speed Cabal Ritual that exists. We were 1 draw step away. Yeah, I'm dead. Okay, so we'll go to game number 2. I mean, we almost won a game in which our opponent had double Wasteland, triple Force, Daze, double Bowmasters. But not quite. We did not finish the job. We will bring in our Carpet of Flowers and our Boseiju Indoors. Get rid of all of the Mox Opals, 1 Chrome Mox, and a Gamble. Game 2 on the play. Sure. I mean, it's going to be real bad if I don't find more mana. But you have Bloodstained Mire for Watery... I'm sorry, not Watery Grave. Undercity Sewers. Brainstorm to help do some of that lifting. They were going to cast a card and then paused. And it was like choosing targets, so I think they have Thoughtseize in hand. We'll grab Undercity Sewers. I mean, I would love a Carpet, so I'm not going to get rid of it, but I have to hit a fetch land off this Brainstorm. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to hide the 2 payoff spells. I'll play Taiga, play Lotus Petal, and then I'll play the Carpet of Flowers. That Brainstorm was exactly what the doctor ordered. And once again, we're rewarded here. I believe I mentioned in the deck tech, but I said that I was tired of boarding out Brainstorm and then in post-war games against blue being very inconsistent. And Brainstorm here was just incredible. So they play a Wasteland, Bowmasters, I don't care. Sure. So Carpet makes 1 mana here. We'll make a black, play the Underground Sea, Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror with Bargain, sacrifice the Carpet of Flowers. They Force of Will. I will Veil of Summer. Jeez Louise, double Force 2 games in a row. I could try to Brainstorm here into another Veil. I mean, that's really the only thing I can do. Okay. I will hide Burning Wish on top. Okay. So you might have been saying, like, why not bargain away the Lotus Petal? I think I needed the Lotus Petal for mana. I mean, I didn't know I was going to Brainstorm into a Diamond, but if I was going to beat, like, a Daze, I think you're supposed to keep around the Petal. I mean, hopefully they just play another Bowmasters next turn and don't Wasteland me. Because if that is the case, I have a win on top of the deck. But if they Wasteland me, I'm a mana short of Deterministic Beseech the Mirror. And they have land number 3. Bummer. Yep. So I do not have that Deterministic win anymore. And I just have to pass. So, I don't know. Hindsight bias is I should have kept the Carpet, but I think in the moment, getting rid of the Carpet was correct. So they have 7 power. Oh, wow. And then they rip the cage. When your opponent, I'm not trying to not sound salty, but like the reality is we were outdrawn. When your opponent draws like our opponent has, like you're going to lose, which is exactly what we did here. I cannot bargain the Beseech the Mirror, but even if I could, guys will shut off my cage. When they draw like this, sometimes like you're going to lose. And unfortunately, that's what happened here. So Carpet was okay, but, you know, double force in their opening 7 will do it 2 games in a row. So we are now 2-2. Not the best record. Let's go try to win match number 5. The best legacy podcast? That would be Eternal Glory featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Koval and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. The 5th and final round, we are on the draw. I will keep. They play a Chrome Mox, Infernal Tutor, so the combo mirror, and they play a Thoughtseize. They take the gamble, and then play an Urza Saga. Okay. We draw Echo of Aeons, so we could just spin. I think I'm going to spin. We'll make 3 blue. Flashback Echo of Aeons. And that's the ball game. Nice. So we play out all of our artifacts. We'll play Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror, bargain away the Chrome Mox. We'll grab another Beseech the Mirror, bargain away Lion's Eye Diamond, and Tendrils of Agony. Target you. Okay, so we'll go to the post-board games now. I know that a lot of these Black Saga Storm decks have started to play Leyline of the Void in the board, so we want to bring in Boomerang Basics. I don't think you want Beseiju Who Endures. We'll get rid of the Runehorn Hellkite and like 2 copies of Veil of Summer. They can beat Veil of Summer because they have Leyline of the Void plus Helm of Obedience, or they have Burning Wish into Debt to the Deathless. So sitting on Veil of Summer isn't nearly as good as it was a handful of years ago. Our opponent takes a mulligan. We'll join them. This hand is just not competitive. This hand is. We will keep. So I would love to keep the Dark Ritual here, but I think it's actually the worst card in the hand. So that's what we're going to get rid of. If your opponent has a Leyline, you need the Burning Wish. If they don't have Leyline, you know, doesn't really matter. You're going to Echo anyway. All right, so we're keeping Dark Ritual, goes on the bottom. No Leyline from the opponent. They play a Bayou, Chrome Mox, and Prince Duress. Lion's Eye Diamond. I'm probably dead if this is what they're doing. Dark Ritual, Wishclaw Talisman. That does get you Beseech the Mirror. So Beseech the Mirror, bargain the Chrome Mox. Yeah, that's lethal. And they did resolve Guy's Will, so we can go to game number 3. Not being on the play. Poor choice. Okay, so we're going to just resubmit the same 75 and see what we can do on the play for game 3. Here we go. No, this hand is bad. Ay, ay, ay. Our opponent also mulliganed, but we're going to 5. That hand just wasn't good. This hand's okay. Alright, so we're keeping our 5. I will bottom the Gamble and the Burning Wish, because assuming they don't have a Leyline, you can go Chrome Mox and print Beseech the Mirror, Dark Ritual, cast the Lion's Eye Diamond, Flashback Echo, and try to win. If they do have a Leyline of the Void, I think the best thing you could do is honestly just pass. And then any mana source off the top gives you Song of Creation, trigger with Diamond. Okay, I shouldn't say any mana source, a black mana source. They did not have the Leyline. We'll play the Chrome Mox, cast Dark Ritual, 3 black mana in my mana pool. I'll play Lion's Eye Diamond, and we will flashback the Echo of Aeons, floating 2 black mana and a blue mana. The Surgical Extraction on Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. This could be a win, but I need the gamble to be successful. We'll go grab Badlands, and we'll play the gamble. You're supposed to grab Beseech the Mirror in this spot. We'll grab Beseech, and we obviously discard it. Alright, play Thoughtseize. Oh my, look at that hand. I am so dead. Oh my. I think you're actually supposed to take the Wishclaw Talisman, and then we'll pass the turn. So my hope here is that they Cabal Therapy me and lose a mana source because they don't imprint it. And that buys me a little bit more time before they can actually cast Beseech the Mirror. No point in taking the Beseech the Mirror because Wishclaw Talisman more easily casts it off the diamond. They play Lotus Petal, Chrome Mox. They imprint the Therapy, so I'm probably dead. They drew another Wishclaw, so I am dead on board. I have to draw my final copy of Beseech the Mirror. I suppose I could gamble into Echo if I drew Gamble. Alright, Commercial District into Echo of Aeons. That's not it. I will pass. They're activating Wishclaw Talisman. Looks like they're going to Ad Nauseam here. Lotus Petal, Surgical Extraction, Thoughtseize, Cabal Therapy, Chrome Mox, Duress, Thoughtseize, Very Macabre, Thoughtseize, Dark Ritual, Chrome Mox, Mox Opal, Vault of Whispers, Gaia's Will, Vault of Whispers, Infernal Tutor, they're at 6. That does not kill me yet. They reveal a Lotus Petal, Duress, they're at 5. Versus Saga, Dark Ritual. So now Beseech the Mirror or Tendrils of Agony kills them. Mox Opal, Wishclaw kills me here. They got it. Bummer. They play Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, Dark Ritual, another Mox Opal, Dark Ritual, Wishclaw Talisman. They can now see that I don't have Veil of Summer. They sacrifice Lotus Petals. They use the Wishclaw Talisman and Tendrils of Agony. So we finished this league 2-3. Not a very good record. I mean, this match came down to losing a gamble flip. I mean, it wasn't even a flip. It was a 80% chance for success, and we missed. We lost to Dimir Tempo, where you could argue I wasn't supposed to bargain the Carpet of Flowers in game 2. But, I mean, our opponent just had the nuts 2 games in a row, and that happens. I think the one match where this list felt worse than 18.0 was not having Defense Grid versus Omnitel, because our Thoughtseize just got hit by Veil of Summer over and over again. So I don't know if this is the way forward, but what I do know is that next week, Hexing Squelcher comes out of the latest Lorwyn set, and that is a protection spell that cannot be countered. So I'm interested in trying out that, probably as a 4 of, between the main deck and sideboard. But that's a thing for me to think about for the remainder of this week before it's available to play online. Thank you, Matthew Story, for the donation deck. I'm sorry the record wasn't better. You can't 5-0 all of them, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know if I'll continue to play this, but it was an interesting thought experiment to try. Thanks for everyone for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep storming. What you should do is like, comment, and subscribe, because there's no better way to support us. And if you enjoyed this video, head over to moxfield.com and follow us there. It's truly the best deck website on the internet. We update all of our decks there regularly with the latest and greatest technology, so you're always up to date. Once again, go check out Moxfield, and thank you for watching.